Hey, it's JK and welcome back to FUNNELIZE. I'm really excited to bring you this module because retargeting is something that is so important in making your funnels massively profitable. And if you continue with this presentation, I promise you at the end of it, you're going to be blown away by just how much more money you're able to make from a very simple funnel if you were to apply retargeting at every possible opportunity. Now, a lot of people, especially beginners, when they first get started with building a funnel or with any type of internet marketing, this idea of retargeting seems to be a massive roadblock. It's hard to get your head wrapped around in some cases. So what I want to do right now is break everything down for you and show you just how easy it is. So what is retargeting? Well, at its very core, it is a way for you to customize a message that you can show to any type of prospect, lead, visitor, customer, whoever it might be. It's a custom message for someone depending on where they are in a specific funnel or where they are in your business. Maybe they've made their way all the way through one of your tripwire funnels and now you want to retarget them and bring them into a webinar or something like that. You can do as much or as little retargeting as you want. And inside this video, I'm actually going to break down what a full session of retargeting would look like through just one funnel. And that's going to really blow your mind. Now, the other thing that I want to mention about retargeting is that it allows you to be everywhere. And this does a couple things for you. By integrating AdWords and Facebook, and there are services out there that are just dedicated to offering retargeting services, you're able to focus on being absolutely everywhere. So we're only going to focus on AdWords and Facebook within this module, but if you really want to get detailed into this, there are actual services that you can go and use that help you get retargeting in very unusual but sometimes very effective places. So let me give you an example here. Let's say that you are selling cat food as just an example here. Well, through the power of retargeting, let's say someone lands on your blog all about cats and you want to sell them a product about cat food, but they decide not to buy it right then. And then let's say a month later, they go onto Google and they type in cat food. Well, you can have an ad show up in the search results that will only show up for people who have already visited your blog. So it's a very cost-effective way to put your message in front of people who have already visited your site before. Now, we're able to do the same thing with YouTube. Maybe if they go watch a video about cats, that you could have an ad run just before that to sell your cat food. It could be a Facebook ad, an Instagram ad. It could be a bunch of different things. And we're also going to talk about the Google Display Network, where they could be on a website. Let's say they're trying to learn how to become a fiction writer, which has nothing to do with cats whatsoever, but you could still have a banner ad on that website selling your cat food. It's incredibly effective. And inside this video, like I said, we're going to break down an overview and some of the basics of what it would look like to do retargeting through every stage of a tripwire funnel. Now, is this required? Honestly, no, it's not required, but I strongly recommend it. A lot of people get intimidated by the idea of retargeting because it involves paid advertising, and that really scares a lot of people. But if you stick with this video, I promise you, at the end, you're going to be blown away by how profitable it is to implement just even a little bit of retargeting at various stages of your funnel. And remember, you're only paying to show these ads to people who have already interacted with your website or your brand. So you're not doing this to completely cold traffic. You're only going to be doing this for people who are already on the cusp of becoming a customer or a lead for you. And that should excite you to spend a little bit of money to get more of that quality of traffic. Because honestly, you are able to massively increase your results, even with just very simple retargeting. So what we're going to do here is jump in and take an example, take a look at an example of simple but very effective retargeting. And remember, what I'm going to show you right here, you don't have to implement everything I'm about to show you. Even just one of these little icons I'm going to go through with you will make a massive difference to what you're trying to do. So what you should see on screen here, you should absolutely recognize this is the tripwire funnel. If you've never seen this diagram before, I recommend that you stop the video right now and go and watch the training inside FUNNELIZE, all to do with your tripwire funnel, because it's a really great funnel to use and there's lots of opportunities for retargeting. So that's why it's going to be the example that we focus on. So what we're going to do right here on this part of the presentation is I'm going to walk you through the retargeting just for the funnel gateway. And if you don't recall the funnel gateway training, again, I strongly recommend that you go and watch that before continuing with this video. But your funnel gateway is two very important pages that appears in almost every type of funnel that we've talked about inside of FUNNELIZE. And that is your opt-in page, where someone goes and enters in their name or their email address or any other contact information, and then they end up on your boost page. And remember, your boost page has a video, it has an acknowledgement at the top of the page, and it has a call to action button, which will then take them onto the next part of the funnel. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at what is a fairly realistic example of some conversion rates here of people who would go through your funnel gateway. So let's say you get 100 visits to your opt-in page, and let's ignore where the traffic comes from. I'm not going to jump into that in this module. I just really want to focus on the idea of getting 100 visits onto this opt-in page. It could be Facebook traffic, it could be solo ads traffic, it could be SEO, it could be whatever. Let's just say you get 100 visits onto your opt-in page, and let's say 35 leads come out of that. So you have 35 people who actually type in their email address and they land on your boost page. Now that means that you had 65 people who came to the opt-in page, but they did not get to the boost page. So where did they go? Well, normally, if you're not using any type of retargeting, it's very unlikely that you would ever be able to communicate with those 65 people ever again. And that's a real shame, because if you're doing any type of paid advertising, that's 100 people you had total who came onto the site because they were interested. They were at least vaguely interested in trying to learn what it was that you were going to offer them. But now 65 of them are potentially gone forever. You'll never be able to sell to them again. So if you're doing any type of paid advertising, that should be a real concern for you, because you've just potentially spent money on those 65 visits and now you're never going to be able to get anything out of it. Well, through retargeting and what we're going to talk about later on in this module, you're going to have your AdWords and Facebook pixels installed on every single page of every website you're going to design. And that's going to allow us to create a custom audience. And this custom audience is going to be based on people who did visit the opt-in page, but did not visit the boost page. And that clearly means that they went to the opt-in page, but they just didn't go and enter their email information. If they visited the opt-in page, but they did not visit the boost page, clearly they did not opt in. And that's those 65 people. We really want to put an ad in front of those people because we want them to come back. They were obviously interested at some point for some reason, but they never entered their information. And a lot of people think, well, they didn't enter their information because they didn't want the thing that I was giving away. They didn't want my PDF, they didn't want my lead magnet, they didn't want my course, whatever it might be. And that's just not true. Just because they didn't put in their email address does not mean that they do not want the thing that you were offering. It could just be that at that moment, it was not the right time for them. And there could be a bunch of reasons why. They could have been in an Uber heading to work. They could have been going out for drinks with their friends. They could have got a notification on Facebook the moment they landed on your page. A bunch of things could have taken them away from your opt-in page, and then they just forget. So they did originally want to get it, but now they can't remember how to get back to that page, and they're not going to try that hard to get back there. So you have 65 potential opportunities that you should definitely be reaching out to. So what retargeting allows us to do is to basically take this custom audience of 65 potential people that we could be bringing into our funnel, and what we're able to do is run an ad, let's just say on YouTube. So we had before, let's say they want to go watch this video about the 10 most satisfying factory machines, Ingenious Tools number 5. Let's say it has absolutely nothing to do with whatever your niche might be, whatever your offer might be on your opt-in page. Well, we can go and run a retargeting ad, a little 16-second video clip just before this and say, hey, you came on, I want to remind you to pick up your copy of this particular lead magnet, yada, 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 whatever it might be. We could also have a second ad on this page, something that they can go and click, and maybe it could be a completely different video. It could be a 1-minute video just saying, this is what the lead magnet's going to do, etc., etc., etc. So we can have an ad on YouTube like that. We can have an ad on Facebook as they're scrolling through their newsfeed. We could have an ad over in the sidebar. We can have an ad as they're actually scrolling through their newsfeed itself. And again, we could have an ad on a completely unrelated page. Maybe they want to learn how to write fiction. We can have a banner ad at the top of that website, and we can have an ad on the right side of that website through the power of the Google Display Network. So what retargeting allows us to do is to run a very specific ad to take people back to the opt-in page so that they can put in their email address and they can get the PDF or the course or the video that we are actually trying to give away. And by building that custom audience, just by having the pixel on the page, I'm going to show you how to build that custom audience and just how easy it is. We're now able to get very, very qualified traffic to keep coming back to our opt-in page because maybe it just wasn't the right time when they landed on that opt-in page the first time. So let's say through the power of our custom audience and running these different ads at different places, we're able to get 35 people to come back to our opt-in page. So we lost 65. Let's just say we got 35 of them to come back onto the opt-in page because we reminded them, oh yeah, that's something that I wanted to get. So 35 come back to the opt-in page. Let's say 15 of them at that point decide, that's right, I definitely want to get this. They put in their name, they put in their email address. Well, now, instead of having just 35 leads, now we have 50 leads. So we've increased our leads by 15 people. And that might not seem like a lot, but depending on the funnel and the products that you're promoting, having an extra 15 people within your list can be a huge, huge amount. Another way to think of it is that we've just increased the amount of leads that we've had by about 40%. So in this example, we're only dealing with 100 visits to the opt-in page in the first place. If that was, let's say, 1,000 visits, we've just added an extra 150 leads onto our boost page. We've just increased our email marketing potential by another 150 leads. If that was 10,000 visits to our opt-in page, we've just gotten an extra 1,500 leads into our email marketing. Now you'll see in our funnel here, we do have these email marketing icons. We're going to ignore that for now because that's going to be a completely different module that we're going to cover, because there's a lot of nuances with email marketing and I really want to take you through how to do that effectively. So we're just going to focus on the retargeting portion here with paid advertising for now, and then we're going to cover email marketing retargeting a little bit later. So let's go and continue here with our example. Keeping in mind that we have 50 leads at this point. Because of retargeting, we now have 50 leads come on to our opt-in page. They've given us our email address and now they are onto our boost page. They watch the little video explaining about how to use the lead magnet, and we tell them go click the button below, and that button is going to take them over to the sales page. So let's keep that 50 leads in mind and talk now about the retargeting level on the sales page. So from our boost page onto our sales page, remember we had 50 leads that we just had, and now what we're trying to do is get people to go over to that sales page. We want them to see what the product is, our front-end product, and let's say we get 20 visitors to come onto that particular sales page. Well, that means that 30 leads on our boost page never clicked that actual call to action button to go and visit the sales page. So that's 30 potential leads that we should absolutely be reaching out to try and get them to go to that sales page and take a look at that product for sale. So how are we going to do that? Well, exact same strategies before. Because we have our AdWords and Facebook pixels installed on every page of every site that we touch, we're able to build a custom audience of people who visited the boost page, but they did not visit the sales page. So we want to build a custom audience of all those folks. And same thing as before, we want to go ahead and run a YouTube ad or an Instagram ad or Facebook ad, or we want to add an ad, run an ad anywhere that we can, because we want to get people to go back to the sales page. Now in this case, let's just say randomly that we get 12 people to go back to the sales page. Notice how we're not sending them to the boost page. There's no point in sending them back there. They've already seen that page. We want to send them to the next step in the process, which in this case is the sales page. So previously we sent them back to the opt-in page because we want them to go and opt in. We want their email address. Now though, we don't want to send them back to the boost page. That's a waste of time. We want to send them to the sales page because we want to start monetizing this traffic. So let's say we get 12 people to come back to our sales page in this case. And that means now that we've had 32 visits onto our sales page. So keeping that in mind, we have 32 visits to our sales page in this case. Let's move on and talk about the next step of our retargeting. So we're on the sales page right now. We have 32 people that we need to go and try and monetize. So we want to try and sell to these people. So let's talk about this next step of the retargeting. Well, in this case, we need to go from, we want to market to people who are on the sales page and then who didn't go onto the upsell page. Now, you could also do this with a cart page. So let's just say on the actual sales page, you can't go and buy the product directly on that page. You have to go to an add to cart page, and that add to cart page has an option where you put in your credit card and stuff like that. Some people have that, some people don't. I'm just putting it in here as an option. This is how you would also do this retargeting if you had a cart page. So you'd not do this from traffic going from the upsell page, traffic going from the sales page to the upsell page. It would be traffic from the sales page to the cart page. So just keep that in mind. That's going to be more common as well in something like e-commerce, right? If you're buying a specific product, if you're selling physical products online. So continuing with our example, let's say that we have our 32 visitors who we've recaptured through the power of retargeting. We've sent them onto our sales page in this case, and 4 people end up on the upsell page. Now the upsell page here, the only way people land on the upsell page is if they actually buy the product, in this case the FE product, which stands for front end product, which is the main product that we're actually trying to get them to buy. Let's say that we have 4 people who land on the upsell page. So we have 4 front end buyers. Well, in that case, we have 28 people who we have sent over to that sales page who have obviously not gone and purchased the product. So what are we going to do with them? Well, same as before, we have our AdWords and our Facebook pixel installed on every page of every website that we touch. And that means that we are able to put together a custom audience of people who did land on the sales page but did not land on the upsell page. And we're going to use the power of retargeting on Facebook and Instagram and Google and YouTube and the Google Display Network to make sure that we're able to get as many people to come back to the sales page as possible. Let's say in this case, we get 16 people to come back to the sales page. Now in this example, we're not going to send them over to the upsell page because there's no point in seeing the upsell if they didn't buy the main product, right? So we want to send them back to the actual sales page itself because we want them to go and purchase this particular front end product. And let's say out of those 16 people, we get an extra 5 people to go and purchase that sales page, which means an extra 5 people end up on the upsell page, which means we now have a total of 9 buyers of our front end product. And hopefully now you're beginning to see how effective retargeting actually is, because we've now gone and more than doubled the amount of people who have purchased that main product that we're selling on our front end page. We've gone from 4 front end buyers all the way up to 9. So we've more than doubled the amount of revenue that we've made just from putting together a really great level of retargeting. So now we're able to go ahead and talk about the next step in our funnel. And remember, you don't have to do retargeting at every single stage like I'm walking through right here. Maybe you only want to do retargeting just on the funnel gateway, or maybe you only want to do it on the funnel gateway and the actual sales page itself. It's entirely up to you. This is what it looks like if you do retargeting at every possible opportunity here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the retargeting on our upsell page, and specifically between the upsells and the downsells. And this is where things are going to get a little bit more complicated. However, I still want to walk you through it because it's very, very effective, especially if you sell any of your own products online. So if this makes your head rattle just a little bit, go back and watch the video again if you feel the need to, or if you're just watching this because this is your first exposure to retargeting, just stick with me during this little stage anyway. So when people land on our upsell page right here, we know that there is going to be a couple things on this page. The first thing is there's probably going to be a no thanks option at the bottom of this page here, where if they don't want to purchase the upsell, there's usually an option at the bottom that says, no thanks, I'm not interested, it's not for me right now. And then depending on the funnel, a lot of times there'll be a downsell offered. And again, on that page, there's usually an option that says, no thanks. Now, depending on how the funnel is set up, this is where things are going to vary just a little bit. We might then, if they say no thanks to the downsell and no thanks to the upsell, they might be taken to upsell number 2, or maybe if they say no thanks to the upsell, they're taken directly to upsell number 2. There might be a bunch of different ways that this could be set up. So allow for a little bit of variation here. But what I'm going to basically point out is that if you have, let's say, 9 people end up on the upsell number 2 page, it can be very difficult to determine if that's 9 people who bought the upsell or 9 people who said no thanks and said no thanks here. It can be a little bit confusing. So what I want to do with this particular level of retargeting is point out to you specifically the people who did pick up the upsell and the people who did not pick up the upsell. And we want to go and retarget to people who did not pick up the upsell because we obviously want them to go and buy that upsell, especially if they've already purchased the front end product that we sold up here in this sales page. And really the only way to measure the people who did purchase the upsell is not by measuring the people who went to upsell number 2 over here, because again, if they click no thanks and they click no thanks, they could be taken over here anyway. So the only way to measure the people who did purchase the upsell is to have a download page. Now I did not include this in the funnel because I thought it would have been too complicated to have download page for upsell 1 and a download page for downsell 2, or downsell 1 and downsell 2. It would have just been too many pages in here. So a little off funnel page that you would have here is your download page, and this is where they're able to actually go and get the thing that they purchased here. So whether this is an ebook or a video course, there's going to be some page that they have to go to actually get access to the content. And on this download page, this is where you would have your AdWords or your Facebook pixel. Now, same thing for the downsell page. There would be a download page for this as well, but you don't really want to run retargeting to a downsell because it doesn't really make any sense. If you're going to run retargeting to any type of additional product to purchase, you'd obviously want to run it to an upsell. You're not going to run retargeting traffic to a downsell because it's just not going to be as profitable, so there's no point in doing that. So for this level of retargeting, what we're trying to do is get people who did not purchase the upsell to go back and purchase the actual upsell. So let's take a look at how that looks. So the 2 pages that we would take a look at in this example would be upsell number 1 and the actual upsell number 1 download page. So we know in this case, because we looked at this level of retargeting earlier, we know that we have 9 front-end buyers who bought this product right here. We have 9 buyers because we did our awesome levels of retargeting previously. We have 9 front-end buyers here. But let's say only 2 people actually land on the download page here. Well, that would be our 2 upsell buyers. Obviously, if they landed on this page, then we know that 2 people actually went and purchased this upsell. So what we need to do is find out, well, what happened to the 7 people who did land on our upsell page, but did not land on the download page. Clearly, they did not buy the upsell. So we want to do a little bit of custom audience remarketing, thanks to our AdWords and Facebook pixels, and start sending traffic to people who did land on upsell page number 1. That means that they were a buyer of the front end product, but they did not land on upsell number 1 on the download page, which means clearly they did not buy the product. So we're going to run an ad on Google and Facebook and YouTube and the display network and Instagram and anywhere else that you want to run a retargeting ad to get people to go back to upsell number 1. Now remember, we're not going to send them to the download page because we don't want them to download unless they purchase it. But let's say out of the 7 people who did not purchase the front end product, through retargeting, we get them to go back to the upsell page. We get 4 people to go back, and let's say 1 extra person decides to go and purchase upsell number 1. Well, that now means that we have a 3rd upsell buyer. Now, the only thing I'm not going to do at this stage is go and walk through the next level of retargeting between upsell 1 and upsell 2, and then the upsell retargeting between upsell 2 and downsell 2. It's just going to get a little bit too complicated to go and jump into that. Going and retargeting based on upsells is the most complicated thing you can do in this funnel. And chances are, if you do have your own funnel with this level of upsells and downsells, it's probably something that you're already familiar with at this point. So if you wanted to go and retarget to people who did buy upsell 1 but did not buy upsell 2, it's basically repeating the exact same process that I just showed you here. So with that in mind, I'm not going to go and show you the exact same strategy and the exact same funnel because honestly, I'd just be repeating myself over and over again at this point. It just wanted to make sure that you guys are able to see the value in doing this extra level of retargeting. And just to make it plainly clear as day, let me show you what this all actually looks like in a sort of real world situation. So Wifey, what's in it for you? Well, let's say that our sales page product up here was $27 and our upsell number 1 here was $97 and our upsell number 2 here was $247. Let's break it down to nickels and cents because that's what everybody is able to understand. So if we go ahead and apply those exact same conversion rates that we just walked through on all those different stages, you can go back and check my math if you want to make sure I'm correct here. The thing I want to point out is that without any level of any retargeting whatsoever, you'd be making generously about $151 through this funnel if you sent 100 clicks. And that's pretty generous with one of the upsells here. There's actually not enough data to calculate how many of the upsells you purchase because there's not enough people going through the funnel because you're not doing any type of retargeting. Now, if we apply the exact same conversion rates with the exact same prices that you see on the page here, and again, being a little bit generous because it's a little bit hard to do this with only 100 people going through a funnel, but again, applying the same conversion rates with full retargeting at every single possible stage here, you'd be making about $781. That's more than 6 times the amount of revenue you'd be pulling in just by putting together that level of retargeting. If you did this at every single stage of the funnel, between the funnel gateway to the sales page to upsell 1 to upsell 2, you'd get more than 6 times the revenue just by putting together very simple but very detailed retargeting at every single possible stage here. So it's absolutely important that you apply at least some level of retargeting, even to just one area of your funnel. Whether you're doing a tripwire funnel, you're doing just your funnel gateway, you just want to build up people on your list, I implore you to try retargeting just a handful of times, get used to how it's supposed to work because it is so incredibly effective. I want to thank you so much for watching this overview video. In the rest of this module, we're going to go through and talk about how to actually generate and install the Facebook and Google pixels in the correct places. We're going to talk about how to put together those custom audience, and I'm going to give you some actual recipes that you can follow for putting together simple retargeting, Facebook ads, and Google ads as well. Thanks so much for sticking with FUNNELIZE. My name is JK Dowdle, and I'll see you in the next video.